The dense forest of the Land of Fire was eerily silent, the usual chirping of birds and rustling of leaves replaced by an oppressive stillness. A lone figure stood atop a gnarled tree branch, his crimson eyes scanning the shadows with predatory precision. Madara Uchiha, the legendary shinobi whose name alone inspired fear, was not here for idle observation. His cloak billowed slightly in the wind, revealing the intricate patterns of his armor, a testament to his storied past. Beneath him, hidden in the underbrush, a team of elite Anbu operatives moved with practiced stealth, their masks glinting faintly in the dappled sunlight. They had been sent to investigate rumors of a shadowy figure manipulating events from the shadows, a puppeteer whose strings extended even into the highest echelons of the Hidden Leaf. Madara's lips curled into a smirk. He had anticipated their arrival. These were no ordinary shinobi, each bore the mark of the Hokage's personal guard, their skills honed to perfection. But they were still insects compared to him. The first Anbu lunged, his tanto blade flashing as it cut through the air with lethal precision. Madara didn't even flinch. With a mere flick of his wrist, he activated his Sharingan, the Tomoe spinning hypnotically. The Anbu's movement slowed to a crawl in his vision, every muscle twitch, every shift in weight laid bare. He sidestepped the strike effortlessly, his hand snapping out to grip the Anbu's wrist. A sharp twist, a sickening crack, and the blade clattered to the forest floor. The second Anbu reacted instantly, weaving hand signs with blinding speed. Fire style, Great Fireball Jutsu. A massive orb of flame erupted from his mouth, roaring toward Madara with devastating force. The heat seared the surrounding trees, their bark blackening instantly. Madara's smirk widened. Pathetic, he muttered. With a single hand sign, he countered, Fire style, Blaze Release. His flames, darker and more concentrated, swallowed the Anbu's attack whole, surging back toward its caster. The Anbu barely had time to scream before the inferno consumed him, leaving only charred remains in its wake. The third Anbu, the team's leader, knew they were outmatched. His fingers flew through a series of seals, and the ground beneath Madara erupted in a swarm of earth spikes. Earth style, Rock Pillar Spears. Madara leapt skyward, but the Anbu was already waiting, his body flickering with the speed of the body flicker technique. A kunai aimed straight for Madara's throat, only to pass harmlessly through him. The Anbu's eyes widened in horror. An illusion? When? Madara's voice echoed from behind him, cold and mocking. You never stood a chance. A single punch, infused with chakra, sent the Anbu crashing through 3 trees before he slumped, unconscious. The last operative, a kunoichi with lightning-fast reflexes, hesitated. She had seen enough. Her hands trembled as she reached for a scroll, unfurling it with a desperate jerk. Summoning jutsu. A massive hawk materialized in a burst of smoke, its wingspan blotting out the sun. It screeched, diving toward Madara with talons outstretched. Madara merely sighed. A bird? How quaint. His Sharingan pulsed, and the hawk suddenly veered off course, its eyes glazing over as genjutsu took hold. It turned on its summoner, its beak snapping shut inches from her face before she dispelled it with a frantic hand sign. Panting, the kunoichi backed away, her mind racing. This wasn't just a rogue shinobi, this was a force of nature. Madara stepped forward, his presence suffocating. Tell your Hokage this, he said, his voice dripping with disdain. The age of shadows is over. The puppet master you seek is no mere manipulator. I am the architect of destiny, and soon, the world will kneel. Before she could react, his hand shot out, gripping her throat. Her vision darkened as chakra drained from her body, her strength sapped in an instant. She collapsed, her last sight the merciless glow of the Uchiha's eyes. Madara straightened, brushing imaginary dust from his sleeve. These fools had been sent to uncover secrets, but they had only scratched the surface. Behind him, the trees seemed to whisper, their branches twisting unnaturally. From the darkness, a figure emerged, hooded, his face obscured, but his presence unmistakable. You're getting reckless, the stranger said, his voice smooth yet edged with warning. The 5 cage will not ignore this, Madara chuckled. Let them come. The pieces are already in motion. The hooded man sighed. Very well. But remember, even a puppet master must be wary of tangled strings. With that, he vanished, leaving Madara alone once more. The Uchiha's gaze turned skyward, his mind already plotting the next move. The Hidden Leaf believed they were hunting a phantom, but they were wrong. They were the ones being hunted. And soon, very soon, the world would learn the true meaning of power. The forest fell silent again, as if holding its breath. The game had begun. The battlefield was a storm of chaos, the air thick with the scent of burning chakra and the echoes of clashing steel. Madara Uchiha stood at the center, his crimson Sharingan spinning with calculated precision, his every move a masterstroke of deception. But this time, his enemies knew the truth, his secret rule, the strings he'd pulled from the shadows. Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi circled him, their breaths ragged but their resolve unbroken. Naruto's golden cloak flared as he surged forward, his Rasengan humming with raw power. Madara smirked, sidestepping with inhuman speed, his Susanoo's skeletal arm materializing to block the strike. But Naruto wasn't alone. Sasuke's Amaterasu flames erupted in a black inferno, forcing Madara to phase through the attack, his body flickering like a ghost. Kakashi seized the opening, his Kamui warping space itself, but Madara twisted midair, landing with a ground-shaking impact that sent shockwaves through the earth. "You're predictable," Madara taunted, his voice dripping with arrogance. "But I'll admit, you've lasted longer than I expected." Naruto gritted his teeth, feeling the Nine Tails chakra surge within him. "We're not done yet." He slammed his palms together, summoning a legion of shadow clones. They erupted in a coordinated assault, feinting and weaving, forcing Madara to divide his attention. Sasuke's Rinnegan flared as he teleported behind Madara, his Chidori screeching like 1,000 birds. Madara barely pivoted, his Susanoo's ribcage intercepting the blow, but the force sent him skidding back. Kakashi's mind raced. He's adapting too fast. He signaled to the others with a sharp glance. "We need to change tactics." Naruto understood instantly, channeling Sage Mode, his senses expanding. The natural energy sharpened his reflexes, and he lunged again. This time, his Rasengan split into a barrage of smaller orbs, each one homing in. Madara's eyes narrowed. He couldn't dodge them all. The explosions rocked the battlefield, dust swallowing the combatants. For a heartbeat, silence. Then, laughter. Madara emerged unscathed, his perfect Susanoo now fully formed, a towering specter of blue energy. "You'll have to do better than that," he mocked, swinging his colossal blade. The slash carved through the earth, forcing Naruto and Sasuke to leap apart, the shockwave sending Kakashi tumbling. Sasuke landed in a crouch, his Sharingan analyzing every flicker of Madara's chakra. "He's toying with us." He clenched his fist. But he's not invincible. With a burst of speed, he activated his Susanoo, its purple wings unfurling. Naruto mirrored him, his tailed beast form roaring to life. The two charged, their combined might shaking the heavens. Madara met them head-on, his blade clashing against theirs in a deafening symphony of power. The ground beneath them cracked, fissures spiderwebbing outward. Kakashi, recovering, focused his remaining chakra. One shot. His Mangekyo spun wildly as he locked onto Madara's Susanoo. With a strained grunt, he warped a section of it away, creating an opening. Naruto didn't hesitate. He poured every ounce of his strength into a single strike, a Rasen Shuriken, infused with natural energy. It spiraled toward Madara, the air itself screaming in protest. Madara's eyes widened. For the first time, surprise flickered across his face. He raised his arms, but the attack connected, detonating in a cataclysmic explosion. The dust cleared slowly, revealing Madara kneeling, his armor shattered, blood trickling from his lip. But his grin remained. "Impressive," he admitted, rising with eerie calm. "But did you really think that would be enough?" His Rinnegan pulsed, and the very earth trembled as a monstrous shadow loomed behind him, the Geto statue, its maw gaping with hunger. Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi exchanged grim looks. This wasn't just a battle of strength anymore, it was a fight for survival. And as Madara's laughter echoed across the ruined battlefield, one thing became clear: the true horror had only just begun. The battlefield trembled beneath the weight of clashing chakra, the air thick with the scent of scorched earth and ozone. Madara Uchiha stood at the center of the storm, his crimson Sharingan spinning with cold precision as he manipulated the strings of fate itself. Around him, the remnants of the allied shinobi forces struggled to stand, their bodies battered but their resolve unbroken. Naruto and Sasuke, panting heavily, locked eyes. This was the moment everything would be decided. Madara's laughter echoed like thunder as he raised a hand, the invisible threads of his puppet mastery weaving through the battlefield. "You fought well," he admitted, his voice dripping with condescension, "but you still don't understand. This world is nothing more than a stage, and I am its director." With a flick of his wrist, the ground erupted as chakra strings ensnared fallen warriors, forcing them to rise, lifeless puppets under his control. Naruto gritted his teeth, his Kurama-enhanced cloak flickering as his chakra waned. "We're not your damn puppets," he roared, charging forward in a golden blur. Sasuke followed, his Rinnegan flaring as he teleported behind Madara, the black flames of Amaterasu licking at the edges of his vision. Their attacks came in unison. Naruto's Rasengan met Madara's palm, while Sasuke's blade aimed for his throat. But Madara twisted, his movements unnaturally fluid, as if he had already foreseen every strike. Predictable, Madara sneered, his fingers twitching. The strings tightened, and suddenly, Naruto's own arm jerked against his will, his Rasengan veering toward Sasuke. Sasuke barely dodged, his eyes widening in realization. He's not just controlling the dead, he's manipulating us. The horror of it sank in. Every step, every attack, had been subtly guided by Madara's unseen influence. Their fatigue, their missteps, even their teamwork, all part of his design. But Naruto refused to yield. With a growl, he channeled the last of Kurama's power, his body radiating molten chakra. If he's pulling the strings, then we'll just have to cut them. Sasuke nodded, his Sharingan spinning wildly as he analyzed the chakra threads. There. He launched a barrage of shuriken, each one infused with lightning chakra, severing the invisible tethers one by one. Madara's smirk faltered for the first time as his control wavered. Impossible. Seizing the opening, Naruto lunged, his fist connecting with Madara's jaw in a devastating uppercut. The impact sent the Uchiha soaring, but before he could recover, Sasuke was there, his Chidori spear piercing through Madara's chest. Blood splattered the air, but Madara's laughter returned, guttural and unhinged. You think this is enough? His body began to dissolve into swirling ash, his true form emerging, a spectral figure wreathed in dark energy. The final phase had begun. The sky darkened as Madara summoned meteors from the heavens, each one hurtling toward the exhausted shinobi. Naruto and Sasuke stood back to back, their breaths ragged but their spirits unbroken. One last shot, Naruto muttered. Sasuke smirked. Make it count. With a shared nod, they unleashed their ultimate techniques. Naruto's Baijuu Bomb and Sasuke's Indra's Arrow spiraled together in a cataclysmic fusion of light and shadow. The collision shook the continent, the shockwave tearing through Madara's defenses. For a fleeting moment, his mask of control shattered, revealing something beneath, not rage, not arrogance, but something almost like regret. Then, silence. The dust settled, revealing Madara's broken form, his once imposing presence reduced to a whisper. The puppet master had lost his strings. As his body faded, he uttered a final, cryptic warning. Even now. You are still dancing to someone else's tune. The aftermath was a world reborn. Villages lay in ruins, but the survivors stood tall, their bonds forged stronger in the crucible of war. Naruto and Sasuke, battered but alive, clasped hands, not as rivals, but as brothers. The era of manipulation was over. But as the sun rose on a new dawn, a single crow took flight in the distance, its black feathers glinting with an eerie light. The game was far from over.